Greetings, this is Research Lecture Series, and today we will be discussing about the importance of hypothesis. In particular, this lecture will be talking about on writing the appropriate statistical decision in relation to our hypothesis. So the question is, which is which? Should you write I accept the null hypothesis, or should you write the otherwise I failed to reject the null hypothesis? Remember, this is more than a grammar issue. This is more what we are seeing and what we are speaking. It is more than what we can read from it. And I want you to know that when we say I accept the null hypothesis or the null hypothesis is accepted, we remember that the null hypothesis, its structure, is a statement that we want to test. We are testing it because we want to disprove it. Because technically, the word null, okay, because technically the word null possesses a negative connotation. Null, which means useless or worthless. By testing the null hypothesis, we are setting the bar that everything will be the same and relevant, in which a utopic idea, which cannot be really happening. In this lecture, I want you to reflect when we say the null hypothesis is accepted. It is like saying that you are already accepting what is wrong. You are already accepting what cannot be proven. We do not accept the term, we accept the null hypothesis. We do not accept such. Instead, we can write in a more correct manner, we failed, or the study failed to reject the null hypothesis. Why? First reason is that if the null hypothesis cannot be theoretically correct, there is no way that you can accept it. Remember, when we start our research writing after or before writing the statement of the problem, or some universities are writing the hypothesis after writing the statement of the problem, we start with the null hypothesis. And our goal as a researcher is to reject it, because at the end of our study, we want to prove that there is a significant change or a significant difference that is being brought to us by the testing or by the data gathering from our selected samples. If the null hypothesis cannot be theoretically correct, there is no way that you can accept it. Remember, when you write the null hypothesis, it is a statement of similarity and no difference at all. It is like, as an example, all of grade 10 students performed below 45 required points in the assessment exam. So when you try to accept that null hypothesis, you are trying to say that, okay, that all of the grade 10 students in your school, okay, performed below 45. What if there are some students that performed 46, 47, 48 or higher than that, or even got a perfect score? That is when you say, I accept the null hypothesis. That is what, when we say it can be, we do not accept what we meant theoretically wrong. Okay? So another example is all soldiers are male. There are not a what if statement. There are soldiers who are female. When we say, or when we accept, or when we say I accept the null hypothesis, you remove from the word soldier those soldiers who are female. So what's the correct way of saying it? We say we failed to reject the null hypothesis, because hypothesis testing requires proof, evidence, a proof that can be used in statistical decision making. These evidences must pass in front of an evidentiary standard. And in statistics, we use the 0.05 alpha, the most conventional and the most default alpha that we are using in the social sciences. In medical sciences, we use the 0.01 or the 0.001. So what is this alpha? That when our computation, or that when the computed alpha goes lower than the 0.05 or the default alpha that you use, then there is a possibility that a significant difference or a significant relationship may exist on those variables that you do. But if the computed alpha will result to a higher alpha, say for example, your computed alpha is 0.92 versus 0.05, then you will say you failed to reject the null hypothesis. Why? Because no matter how minuscule, no matter how small that probability is, there are some samples that may possess that chance, okay? That chance that may show a significance. However, proof is insufficient on that specific group of sample. Proof is insufficient on that specific group of sample that you have. That's why you are saying you failed to reject the null hypothesis. In Tagalog, kinulang ka sa ebidensya na magpapatunay, okay? Kinulang ka sa ebidensya na magpapatunay na merong significant difference. Pero, gaano man kaliit ang tsansa o probability na iyon, nandoon yun. Yun nga lang na overwhelm sila dun sa tinatawag na evidentiary standard. Sa batas, sa legality, ito yung tinatawag nating burden of proof. Gaano kabigat, gaano kasubstantial yung proof na gagamitin mo para patunayan mo na wala kang kasalanan. It is not an issue of right or wrong. Remember this, researchers. Hindi porket lumabas sa result mo na no significant difference, pangit na ang study mo. No, hindi totoo yun. Again, it is an issue of sufficiency and appropriateness. It is an issue of sufficiency and appropriateness. So this appropriateness refers to your sample, the sample size, because there is also what we call the sample size effect, okay, that may influence the result of your study and the quality or the characteristics of your sample. So remember, we do not accept the null. However, unless proven, it remains null. That is why by conventional writing, we are always starting with the null hypothesis. Remember, failing to reject the null hypothesis does not mean there is nothing. Remember, failing to reject the null hypothesis does not mean there is nothing. Okay, that's my second emphasis. I want to be more specific on this because I want you to have this idea that even though the result of your study proved to failing to reject the null hypothesis, it doesn't mean that you have a wrong study. It only means that you are giving chances to other variables that may be influencing your study when someone continued your study in the future. Okay? So, another one, it only means that you were not able to disprove it. Ang ibig sabihin lang nun, hindi mo siya napatunayan sa pagkakataong ito. Pero, hindi nun inaalis ang posibilidad na merong. Okay? Probably because of your sample, their innate characteristics, and etc. Another but. Rejecting the null hypothesis, pag tinanggap mo naman yung alternative mo. Ano ba yung alternative hypothesis mo? Ito yung there is a significant. Yan. Pero, pag ang desisyon naman ng study mo, I reject the null hypothesis, hindi naman ibig sabihin nun, absolute yung truth. Okay? Hindi ibig sabihin nun, lahat na yan, significant. para rin ah, para rin yung instance na you failed to reject them. Hindi ibig sabihin wala talaga. Does not mean an absolute truth. Okay? When you say there is a significant difference, always remember that it is not absolute. Okay? Probably, ano yung next yan? Probably because of the sample effect. Baka naman nag-sampling ka pero ang nakuha mo yung mga matataas naman pala sa klase. Nag-sampling ka pero ang nakuha mo sobrang dami naman ng babae kaysa sa lalaki. Okay? It can be a result of sample effect. O kaya naman, nag-sampling ka ng mga lalaki, babae, pero hindi mo naman nakita na mas marami pala itong mga grade 10 versus the grade 8. Kaya nagkaroon ng significant difference in terms of performance. Yun yung tinatawag nating practical significance and statistical significance. So, pag sinabi statistical significance, sinabi there's a significant difference. Halimbawa, there's a significant difference between socioeconomic status and the performance in mathematics. Ano yung practical significance nito? Probably because, ayan. Kaya nga diba, after mong mag-prove ng hypothesis, tinatanong ka, what is the implication of this? At ano ang sinasagot ng implications mo? Sinasagot nito yung kaugnayan ng datos na nakuha mo sa sample, okay? Sa sample mo. Pangalawa, dun sa population na pinagmulan ng sample. At pangatlo, babalikan mo yung layunin ng study mo o yung objective ng study mo. So, that's the reason why hypothesis is not only a piece of part, okay, in your study. It is very important. The hypothesis plays a great role in statistical decision making and writing the appropriate, okay, writing in the appropriate sense will give you a better understanding of your research study. So what is hypothesis is telling us? Hypothesis is teaching us there is more than proving something. So I want you to remember, hindi porket no significant difference ang study mo, hindi porket there is a significant difference or relationship or association ng study mo, ay nandun yung kabuluhan. There is more than proving something. There is more than being significant. Okay? Hindi lahat ng significant sa statistics in reality significant. Okay? Hindi pwede na hindi minsan nagkakatugma yung ina-assume mong gusto at yung ipinapakita sa atin ng datos. A non-significant claim cannot be bad at all. Okay? Pag sinabi yung there is no significant difference on the performance of the students in research subject, tingnan mo, baka naman kasi pare-pareho silang matataas. O pare-pareho talaga silang mababa. And that behooves the teacher to create some plans. Hypothesis is telling us to know our fit. Na hindi pwedeng isiniksik lang. Na hindi pwedeng nagustuhan lang. Hindi pwedeng ikaw lang ang may gusto nun. Dapat, in hypothesis testing, you need to understand that what you are testing, okay, what you are testing should be aligned, okay, to how you treat those data, and then after treating the data, go back again to your hypothesis, using proofs, using evidences, okay, using the alpha, the standard, and that's how you tell if that really fit on your study. This is Research Lecture Series. Good day, and God bless us all.